Well, James, I'm here live in Winnebago, and I drove from Rockford to Winnebago after the storm passed. And as I made my way down here, I saw down paralyzing trees on my way. I'm going to step out the way so you can see crews are actually out here working on this street. Well, James, I'm live here outside the Rockford Board of Elections, where, as you can see behind me, there is just a line of people waiting to cast their votes. And this is actually the site where many people in our area have come to early vote. We break into your regular scheduled programming tonight to bring you an update on a mass shooting in Rockford. Just this morning, authorities provided an update on the tragedy at Don Carter Lanes on Saturday that left 3 people dead and 3 others injured. Before the pandemic, less than 100 people were using telehealth services here at Mercy per week. Now, more than 2,000 people are logging on and are talking with their doctors virtually. Just days after heading back to the classroom, some students in the Harlem School District are now being told to quarantine. I'm here inside the Old Stone Food Pantry, where, as you can see, there are just shelves full of food, cans, just anything. It was a beautiful day in the state line, adding to what feels like a wave of warmth during the fall months. Take a look at this drone video we got this morning. This was at Rock Cut State Park, and as you can see, the weather was just simply lovely today. Fire crews actually just left from what they say has been a very devastating fire. Take a look at this home. This home was completely engulfed in flames, and when we got on scene, the next door neighbor said she heard a loud boom and came outside thinking something had struck her home, but really it was her neighbor's home. And she ran to make sure nobody was inside, and thankfully no one was hurt. And then if you look just across the street from us, this tree collapsed on this home. And the neighbors say they were leaving to go to work when they heard that same boom, came home to make sure their house was okay, but they found this. It's the glimmer of hope many have been waiting for, the approval of a COVID-19 vaccine. The first American to receive it, a Black New York intensive care nurse named Sandra Lindsay.
She's leading by example. The way she's leading, she's giving us an example of how this will work out in the future.
From the outside looking in, the moment looks like any other moment of someone receiving a vaccine. But for many Black Americans, that moment represents so much more.
I was excited to see it because it was a Black woman. I was excited to see that. But I wasn't excited to see it because I feel like, are we being experimented on first?
The tug and pull between the excitement and the fear some Black Americans feel started way before the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, it started way before many Black Americans were even born.
Fear that we have is not new. It's a historical, it's over 400 years old.
Since the time of slavery, Black people have been subjected to medically unethical practices and treatments. One of the most famous was the Tuskegee experiment.
If we look at the history of this country and the history of its relationship with people of color have always been used for experiments without any explanation.
From the 1930s to the 1970s, 600 Black men in Macon County, Alabama, enrolled in this experiment. It was run by the U.S. Public Health Service in an effort to research the effects of syphilis. What made the experiment so unethical is that when a treatment drug was approved for syphilis in 1947, none of the men involved were given the drug, resulting in horrible side effects and even death.
And so when you have that in mind, then no, you don't want to be part of the sample. You don't want them to do anything to you.
So fast forward to the present. The world is in a global pandemic, and a new vaccine arrives to protect people from a virus that has already disproportionately affected communities of color, especially the Black community. Even with all this on the table, are Black people still afraid of taking the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yes. Yes, I am.
What are your concerns, and where do they stem from?
We are reluctant because we know the history. I was a child and a teenager during the Jim Crow, and I know the things they did to us unwittingly.
Why are you a little skeptical about the vaccine?
You know, it's like every time we become the group, the sacrifice, it gives us reason to pause when something such as a vaccine is created, and African Americans are the ones who are more susceptible to the virus.
But they aren't alone. The Kaiser Family Foundation, a nonprofit that focuses on national health issues, says only 17% of Black adults would definitely get the vaccine, a 20% difference between both Hispanic and white adults.
Talking about our lives, you know, and we take it for granted, and a system that at at one time and continue to this day does not even see us as fully human.
So what can be done to help Black Americans either consider taking the vaccine or be more open to it? Dr. Arthur Rohn from Mercy Health says it starts with conversations like this one.
I spend a lot of time educating patients about what's going on, trying to give them as much information as I have in terms that they understand. But it still needs to be an individual choice.
While sharing more information about the virus and the vaccine won't fix the trauma from the past, what it can do is help people feel more comfortable so that one day they may be willing to take it. For your 13 Weather Authority, Lauren Baker, 13 News.